Hey there, Alex Kidman from Alex Reviews Tech here, and this is the Corsair Sabre V2 Pro, which on first glance doesn't look like it's all that exceptional a mouse. I mean, mouse buttons, scroll wheel, side buttons, that's pretty much all it's got. But the ultralight is the point here because this is an extremely light mouse. How light, I hear you ask? Now, I suspect the camera is not going to pick this up terribly well, but I do have my scales here. They're zeroed, and the Sabre V2 Pro weighs in at 36 grams. 36 grams is astonishingly light for a mouse. I promise you, I'll just tilt the camera up. I promise you there's nothing else sitting on there. I'm not adjusting the weight any other way. But as I was saying, 36 grams, stupidly light for a mouse. In full honesty, the first time I picked one of these up, I kind of thought, oh, this has got to be the store model. You know, that one that's just empty, so if someone nicks it in a store, it doesn't really matter. But no, this thing really does weigh 36 grams. And I want to give that a little bit of context. So for example, if I grab the Ultralight wireless that I've recently reviewed, and I take the Sabre V2 Pro off to the same set of scales, it comes in at 112 grams. Or to give that some context, you can get about 3 of these for 1 of these. I mean, that's kind of extraordinary. Or to give that another point of context, I'll just drop the Sabre V2 Pro back on there. Still 36 grams. That's not going to come through great on the camera, but trust me, it is 36 grams. And here's some AirPods 4. And I mean, you look at the size difference between these things, and nobody particularly thinks of AirPods as being heavy, right? So which one of these is heavier? Well, I'll cut to the chase here. It's the AirPods. They weigh in at about 40, 41 grams, and this is only 36. This is lighter than that. It's kind of insane. Now, you can find some things that do weigh the same, like, for example, surprisingly, 3 Godzillas. But the trick there is that you've got to use really, really, really small Godzillas, not kind of regular Tokyo destroying Godzillas, but they basically weigh in the same as this mouse. The point is, this is a super, super, super lightweight mouse designed for gamers who want that kind of really easy to move around the desk, really, really fast action. In the box with the Sabre V2 Pro, you also get a nice lengthy USB-C to USB-A cable. And before you ask, yeah, that thing, if I can get it fully onto the scales, does actually weigh more than the mouse itself. The only thing that's actually lighter than the Sabre V2 Pro in its box is its 2.4 gigahertz receiver. Slightly interesting design because most of these tend to be plugs, just like little USB-A plugs. I'm sure you've probably got a million of them. I know I do. This is instead a USB-C socket. So the idea is that you grab the cable that's supplied, you plug that in, you plug this end into your laptop or desktop or whatever of choice, and then it's nice and nearby and kind of ready to go. Interesting kind of call on Corsair's part, but at around, I think it's about 8 or 9 grams, yeah, coming in at 9 grams, it's the only thing in the box that's actually lighter than the mouse, and even then, not by much. In performance terms, look, you can just actually plug this in and have it get going, but that means you do miss out on the relatively limited set of customizations you've got for this mouse. Now, important to note, of course, that this just has your regular left-right scroll wheel, which is clickable, and 2 side buttons. No other gaming-specific buttons here to be found. Again, it's all in the name of just making it as light and responsive as it possibly can be. Now, typically with Corsair, that would involve Corsair's IQ software, but at least at this point, pre-launch, as I'm recording this, IQ actually doesn't see the Sabre V2 Pro at all. And it might never. It's not entirely clear to me at this point whether or not it will, because what Corsair's done instead, I think it's going to be supplementary to it, but certainly not during my testing period, is it set up a web portal for customization of the Sabre V2 Pro. So relatively lightweight, which has a huge advantage here if you're one of those people who's found IQ to be a bit kind of cluttered, a bit of a memory hog, a bit laggy. I've certainly found that across both PC and Mac. Now, I should point out, by the way, for the Mac users, yeah, this thing will work with a Mac, but the web portal will not. The other big limitation with the web portal is it's Chrome, Edge, and Opera only. So if you're using Firefox, for example, you're plumb out of luck. And again, going back to the Mac users, even if you're using Chrome on Mac, it still won't work. But configuration is easy enough if, on the relatively limited side. The one setting that you can change without needing the web interface is the DPI. At least in theory, it can be a bit temperamental. I'll show you how it's meant to work. So I do have it plugged in right now. It is an operational mouse. And in theory, if I hold down the right mouse button and the back button here, The wheel should light up after about 3 seconds to indicate it's done a DPI change. Let's give that a try. There we go. So that has changed the DPI. That works, right? Well, not all of the time. The issue is right now, these buttons are just set for their default actions within my operating system of choice. That's fine, they work. But the web browser interface does let you set other actions. So for a little while, I had this set as, for example, just play and mute for my media because I like that kind of thing. And if you've got actions set, it seems like they don't work. With actions set, this will not change the DPI, or it seems very, very fussy about whether or not it will change the DPI. Now, I hope that's just a bug that Corsair can fix with a future firmware update. Maybe it's just the quirky nature of the way I've got it set or the way it thinks, oh, I better do a play command first. I'm not entirely sure, but that's the one thing that I've not been able to get working exactly as I might have liked during my review period with this mouse. Obviously, if you just had a DPI setting that you left it at, wouldn't fuss you. If you're happy to jump into the web interface, again, you can just change it as you need it. If you need to change on the fly, though, this might not be the mouse for you. In terms of responsiveness, this will go up to 33,000 DPI and 8,000 hertz polling rate, although, again, you've got to set most of that through the web browser interface. That being said, though, a mouse this light really is a joy to use, even for someone like myself. I'm not someone who can pretend to be a pro gamer, and one could get into the debate about whether or not this level of lightness actually has a real-world benefit versus a kind of perceptual benefit. Oh, I think it's lighter, therefore I'm playing better kind of thing. I'm not going to get into that because I'm not that level of gamer. But even just as a day-to-day mouse, as a productivity mouse, this thing's great. I really, really like it. Really nice and responsive, really quick. Of course, being this light, you're going to think, well, hang on, what are they doing with batteries? So, sealed battery, no actual, insertion of batteries here. I'm not adding to that 36-gram weight at all. Recharges via USB-C at the front. And I should point out, you can also use it as a wired mouse if you really wanted to. But the claim here is for up to 70 hours of battery life. Now, for something this light, that's kind of exceptional. For a gaming mouse, that's on the lower side, and there's a big catch there. And the big catch is that 70 hours is with only 1,000 hertz polling rate, so a slower polling rate. If you wanted that ultra, ultra low latency that you get at 8,000, well, you're going to cut down the battery life fairly sharply. Now, my own tests have not included any 70-hour gaming marathons. I've been using this for about a week. It's really only run out of charge the once, and I've been using it as my absolute day-to-day mouse for just about everything because I really rather like it, if that wasn't obvious. And it's been okay. Certainly by gaming mouse standards, though, you are paying a battery price for this thing being quite so light. So should you buy the Corsair Sabre V2 Pro? Look, at $169 Australian, this is not inexpensive. Certainly if you just wanted a basic mouse, for sure, you can get something cheaper than this. But if you really do want a really light, very, very pleasant mouse to use, and you don't need loads and loads and loads of extra buttons, and you're happy with essentially a web interface, at least until IQ integration comes in, then yeah, this is recommended. I really rather like this mouse. I think I will actually stick with using this mouse day to day. Got to be honest, I probably wouldn't have chosen the white. This is what Corsair sent to me for review. Also comes in black because I reckon the white is going to look a bit ordinary after a few months of usage. I'm sure you know what I mean. But that aside, this is a really, really nice device and just a superb bit of engineering. I'm holding it now and my brain is still trying to process, hang on, this can't be a real mouse at this weight, can it? And the answer is, it is. Thanks for watching.